Well, we are here in an amazing concert by Kazuhito Yamashita, who's presenting the 6 suites in one day, the 6 cello suites. And we were sort of distracted by the airplanes outside while he was performing. What was your impression of it?
Well, it is an amazing day to hear all of these 6 on the guitar. It's a great event. And my impression was, you know, these suites are interesting. There are only 2 that are in minor, the 2nd and 5th one. And for me, the 2nd is somehow the most intimate and personal of the 6. And the saraband is especially so. The sarabands are always the emotional core. So, and Yamashita has such a big dynamic range, and he can get so quiet. So he was maybe in the most personal and intimate moment of the afternoon, and suddenly the planes came. And they had been there a little bit before, but what was interesting to me, a few things were interesting. One is that he seemed completely unaffected by it. I mean, he just stayed right where he was. Yeah. And, you know, I certainly prefer my Bach without airplanes, okay? But given that the airplanes came, what was interesting to me was the sonic effect, because the guitar was this stable sound. It was just there, being very intimate and very beautiful, and then the airplanes were so loud and so mobile. So you were sort of focused in this one spot, and then the sound moved across the sky and obliterated the guitar, and then sort of disappeared, and out of it came this intimate guitar again. And there was something, in a way, dramatic and beautiful about it, even though, of course, I would prefer to hear without.
Well, I was amazed with his capacity of concentration, because he didn't feel affected by it.
Yeah, when you listen to him play, it feels like he's just in his own world with this music. You feel like you're just watching somebody really just in almost unaffected by the audience or anything, you know. And so you couldn't have had much of a louder sound than that or more distraction. And yet I never sensed that the phrasing changed or the dynamic or anything.
That's
you
right.
know? I wish I could have that kind of concentration. I'm certainly affected internally when these kind of things happen. I don't know if I show it, but he certainly shows nothing.
What do you think of this space for guitar music?
I think it's very nice. It helps the guitar. It's very big, so you feel like the sound goes a lot of places. So it's, for me, not the most focused sound all the time, but it's very beautiful for the guitar. And I think he has one of the biggest dynamic ranges of any guitarist. I remember Rose Augustine at the end of her life, she always used to go to hear him, and she'd say, "I love that guy because he's the only guy I can hear." You know, she was in her 90s and she couldn't hear.
She couldn't hear anymore.
She couldn't hear anymore. So he really has a big dynamic range, and I think that's good here.
I think it's important to say that in this space we've heard many guitar concerts here, promoted by the Omni series, and most of them have been amplified.
Yes.
And this is the only one I've heard without amplification.
Right. Yeah. And what was your impression?
I could hear everything, even the quiet moments.
Me too.
So.
In fact, I was just with Kazuhito in a festival in Mexico. Oh, the same festival that you were. And no, I think he was the only one who didn't amplify.
That's right.
He played in the big hall as you did.
Yes.
And also he refused, and the presenters were very upset, but I think it worked out. Yeah.
It was a great afternoon of music.
How can it not be with Bach?
Yeah.